Are you sure we're live?
I pressed the live button.
And it should be the same event?
We're live, Cody.
Okay, good. We'll just go. I'll start that over for all you fellow listeners because we're just a little confused. We set up a live event, and this is the first time we've actually scheduled something. There we go. Okay, so we are live. Um, okay, well, welcome to Glitch Point for the second time. I have no idea what happened in the last week because I've been kind of out of it. So I'm happy that we're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. Hopefully, if we run out of things, that Spencer's been paying attention to the world amongst us, and he can bring some other things in. But I actually really like this topic because I think there's a lot to be said about it because it's a long-lasting franchise. It's had a lot of hits. It's had a lot of misses. It's definitely tried different equations too along the years.
Yeah.
I mean, which is actually really cool. I actually commemorate them for being unique sometimes. Like I remember when Sonic Spinball came out, and I was like blown away that there was a pinball game where you were actually a guy. You know, I was like, that's great, that's amazing. But it's also been this franchise has been very tied to Sega, which as you all probably know had a console and actually a bunch of consoles, and didn't do so well in the console market and no longer makes consoles, and so now they're just concentrating on games and movies apparently. So yeah, I know that Spencer, you're a huge fanboy of the Sonic series.
Better for worse.
Yeah. So like, what makes you such a fanboy? Like, where did you get hooked into it?
First Sonic game that I played, and this will definitely resonate with where I am as a Sonic fan later on in the discussion, is Sonic Adventure on the GameCube. So 3D Sonic, probably at its best in all its entirety. I think the reason I like it is because the classic gotta go fast. I like how fast paced that the game is, and Sonic Adventure had the first one had a great like open world. I mean, maybe great's not the word, but it was a fun little open world to explore around, and it felt large as a kid. And then Sonic Adventure 2 was the second one that I really liked, and that had the rail grinding, which was brand new for this franchise at the time, which it's kind of still in Sonic, but it's not the staple that it was in Sonic Adventure 2.
So I didn't even know it was the GameCube because I remember it being one of the launch titles for the Dreamcast. And
it came out on the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast failed, and Sega decided to become a game maker and not a console maker. And then once that happened, after years of fighting, Nintendo decided to give Sega a little bit of a olive branch and say, hey, why don't you just port all your cool Dreamcast games to the fucking GameCube and actually make some money? And Sega's like, fuck, okay.
Wait,
we got Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on there. We got Crazy Taxi got ported over.
Such a good game.
And then other ones got ported over to the Xbox, like Shenmue 2 went to the Xbox. Sonic Heroes was a multi-plat release, but that wasn't that was a Dreamcast game at some point, but there was the new Jet Set Radio was on or not Jet Set Radio, Jet Set Radio Future, whatever what it was on the original Xbox. So Sega like split their ends between between Xbox and Nintendo after the Dreamcast died. But that's where I played them because I did not have a Dreamcast when I was a kid.
Was it it was the Saturn then the Dreamcast, or the Dreamcast then the Saturn? I can't.
Then the Dreamcast.
Saturn
was
then
like 95, I think, was that release date.
Maybe yeah.
96, and then Dreamcast was 99.
Okay, yeah, that's too bad because the Dreamcast was just a really good console. I mean, it wasn't the greatest console on the face of the planet, but I knew a lot of people who had like with SSX and so there were like a lot of really good games on that. And there were a lot of really bad games as well. But I even remember like having the gun with House of the Dead series, and then Crazy Taxi, and then the Sonic Adventure games, which it was a launch title, which was really cool that it was a launch title. Because I remember playing that at a what were those things called? Blockbusters.
Yeah, like Blockbuster, Game Crazy, and Hollywood Video.
Yeah, but you remember like Blockbuster used to have like the little game setup that you could stand.
Oh yeah, the game kiosks.
Well, the coolest thing, they even let you rent consoles for a little
Yeah.
while. And I was like, that. I remember when they started doing that. I was like, you can rent consoles? That's fucking amazing. I actually rented the Dreamcast. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I, I don't know if the Dreamcast ever had a real chance because of how fucked up the Saturn did to Sega. But I mean, the thing that really killed is the PlayStation 2 having a DVD player in it. Like that just even the Xbox couldn't compete with that. It was just way too amazing of a deal for people who didn't even play games to get a cheap DVD player that the kids were happy with.
Well, I think you could get like a external one for the Dreamcast. I know there were like all the ones
Maybe.
because that's what always happened. Like one console would have it built in, and then everyone else that didn't have it would like externalize their that like a modem. I remember the modem was a big one.
Yeah, I
That
mean, like the Xbox had DVD, but you had to buy the stupid ass like IR blaster with the remote in order to play it for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so stupid. And honestly, if they would have, I think that the Xbox would have sold significantly more if they would have just said it was a DVD player too from the box. But it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I mean, it's good that even with all that, because this is the weird thing about Sonic, and this is why I really wanted to talk about it. It is because I'm still in shock that it's still around. I really thought it was going to go down with when they went down with the consoles. You know, like I thought Sega was done. I was like, they're never going to survive this. And for some reason, they held on, and they were able to continually like hold on to a couple of franchises and keep putting games out. And I was like, this is, and I just wouldn't expect in 2020 that we'd even be talking about Sonic.
I mean, I don't know either because we haven't had good ones. Like, I mean, so Sonic Heroes came out, and that was like the first game that was not on the Dreamcast. That was a new Sonic game, and I mean that's been mixed. Like a lot of people have opinions on it, whether or not it was fun or not. But then after that, we had the colossal failure of Sonic 06. Sonic Colors was pretty good, and then they went down a weird route with Sonic with the whole Wii games, which was like what Sacred Rings and the Black Knight, and then they had
Yeah.
Unleashed, which was weird, and
Well, Unleashed was
it's
pretty
such a
good.
volatile franchise, whether or not it's good or not, and what makes it good or not. Yeah, like some people liked Unleashed, and they liked the parts where you're not playing the werewolf Sonic version.
Yeah, yeah. That's what
And
I
that's
got when I played it.
exactly Sonic Colors. From what I've played, is all around pretty damn good game. But that was only on the Wii, so Wii exclusive. Which I don't know if that. I mean, everyone had a Wii, but and then Sonic Generations came out in like 2013 or something around that time, and that was fantastic, and everyone loved that game. And then, what did
Yeah,
they make after that?
Mania was the big that was like the big thing that brought it back from for me at least.
Yeah, there was what happened, but
But yeah.
they rebooted into Sonic Boom, and that was just fucking stupid.
Oh, really? I didn't even.
No one liked it. Yeah, they rebranded Sonic for like a cartoon, and the games were a cartoon, and they just became one of the
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the
Okay.
worst developed games of all time. And they were just bad, which it seems they've gone away from that because then they came out. Yeah, Sonic Mania was just phenomenal, which wasn't made by Sonic Team. So
Yeah.
it's made by what's his Christian Whitehead, who was a Sonic modder in the community for a long time. He developed, I think he ported over Sonic CD to the phone and made like a damn good phone port for a Genesis game. Added like widescreen support
Well,
and all that.
I know that it's like because it's very much an homage to these classic Sonic games.
Yeah.
There are a lot of the levels. It takes place in a lot of the same worlds, or whatever you want to call them, stages. But but it has so many clever mechanics that aren't in the game, like it aren't in any other game that they use. And so it's just like I think a lot of people are waiting for the next one to come out, if there is going to be a next one, because maybe it'll be a little bit more unhinged
Yeah.
and more creative. But I don't know if they're going to allow, if he's going to make another game, or even Sonic Team wants somebody else producing their games, or who. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as a Sonic fan, in that was 2016/2017 when those came out. I can't remember if Mania was 2017, but because we had Christian
This is
Whitehead, which I can't remember his studio. I want to say Headcanon, but I don't think that's correct. But that studio made Sonic Mania, and Sonic Team definitely like supported them doing that, but it wasn't their game. And they were too busy making Sonic Forces, which was pretty much just Sonic Generations 2, but not as good, with some weird ass character creator no one really asked for.
But it was already in production, right? I mean, like it wasn't like they sanctioned it in the beginning. I mean, it was kind of like, oh, you're doing it.
Yeah, it felt like
Anyway.
as a fan you were sitting there like, oh, so now the normal's gonna be we get 2D Sonic because there's people who want 2D and 3D. So people who want 2D classic, they're gonna get ones like Sonic Mania, and then their Sonic team are just gonna keep making the 3D slash 2D since there's some 2D in
Yeah.
Forces and Generations. But that was 2017, and since then we've got nothing. Like it's been 3 years, which I think is the longest drought of a Sonic game in a very long time, which Sega claims is a good thing, and that they're taking extra time to make this good. And I want to believe them. Like I really want to have faith, but again, Sonic Team has been all over the place with making good or bad games that I don't.
Well, it's very interesting because it's like, and that's kind of what we talked about at the end of last episode was, Sonic kind of has an identity issue, very much, and it's definitely the split between the two. I mean, like even in the games that do 3D, they still throw 2D elements in there, and it's like all over the
Yeah,
place, and then it's like, so they're mashing so many genres. I mean, I put it to the Infinite Runner is a genre, the Racer is a genre. Like this game actually reminds me. What is it? How is that fucking game? I'm gonna do this again, aren't I? I just had it, but it'll come to me. Anyways, it
got it.
reminds me of a lot of like really fast racers of the past, like with cars, And I think that because it just you're moving so fast and you're dodging, you're coming to the next thing that you have to engage in, like especially when you have to jump and press X, to attack. So you
Yeah,
continually do that. But it's quick thinking. I mean, it's a quick thinking process, which is still the same in the 2D, but it's a little bit different. But then it's just like I don't think that he has a solid identity. Oh, Burnout. That's what I was gonna say.
oh yeah,
This feels like the not Burnout Paradise. It feels like the original Burnouts, where you're moving so fast and the decisions you have to make are so quick because of the speed at which you're traveling. And like if you don't make
yeah.
the quick decision, you're gonna slow down or mess up or whatever. And I really like that, and I think that's a entirely different audience than the 2D's trying to get, and also the Infinite Runner. They're like I think they should just concentrate on one per game rather than trying to
Yes.
make every single one of them fit in the single game.
Yeah, and that's why I was excited for the future of Sonic when they announced Mania and Forces because that's what I implied. I was like, okay, they're definitely two different experiences, and even though Generations did do both, where you played as classic Sonic and you had 3D but 2D levels, which were, I mean, they're good, but again, it's just I would rather have a game that's just fully 3D Sonic and then a game that's fully 2D Sonic, and maybe like toss a little bit of 2D in there, which you can do with some cool camera angles. And like, I mean, Sonic Adventure did that a couple times, but yeah, I think Sonic Mania did 2D Sonic better than anything Sonic Team has done since the Genesis era.
Yeah.
So just let them do it and just stop trying. Um, and I mean, with more development, this is the time to go back to Sonic Adventure, which for 3D Sonic fans, because we definitely are a divided group of people, that is kind of what we all agree is one of the best Sonic experiences, are Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces, of course, they're poorly dated, I would say, but they still hold, I think, a couple great levels in there. And I mean, 3D Sonic has always been buggy, so I'm kind of hoping that they maybe just go with a pre-established engine like Unreal, um, and just use,
What are they using right now? Are they using
I
their
think,
own?
proprietary. Yeah,
They are. Okay.
I mean, which hasn't been bad, but there's just been so, well, yeah, no, they've been bad. There's just been so many game-breaking bugs that just cause Sonic to stop or fall and I really feel like the community has made better games than Sonic Team and knows what Sonic is, and I just really hope that they can realize that and modernize whatever they're trying to make.
Well, it's also probably an engine that's jack of all trades, right? Like best at all, good, great at none.
Yeah, and I
Like
think that's the problem is that with Generations it was good, but they had to make this engine that was really great and scaled to the 3D environments, the endless runner type levels of 3D Sonic, and then the 2D more constrained levels, and then plus some boss battles in there.
yeah.
Which it Sonic Generations was a lot better than Sonic Forces, but yeah, I agree with you. I think they just need to focus on what they want Sonic to be. And I think that maybe the 3 years is kind of also Sega realizing that they need to focus as a company. Because I think
Yeah.
that they really haven't made great content. I mean, I can't think of many Sega IPs that have been used in the past couple years that aren't Sonic. they've published a couple great games. I know Sega, I'm pretty sure, published Alien Isolation, which I'm very surprised does not have a sequel already. But
I didn't know that.
yeah, but I mean, they just published, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing that I hope they learn is just no 3D platform. Like, okay, so 3D platforming is fine if you do it right, but it seems like they always choose these 3D platforming scenarios that slow you down, where you have to slow down to do it. And it's like, well, why? Why am I slowing down to do a 3D platform? It's like just allow me to run as fast as possible at all times.
Yeah, that's the tough part about Sonic, even in the 2D games, is like everyone always markets it as like go fast as possible, and just run fast in that direction. And even though that is what Sonic mainly is, if even in the first game, like on the Genesis, it wasn't merely meant to be going fast all of the time. You're supposed to slow down and have some actual platforming challenges. And yeah, I think if you do it incorrectly, you do start feeling like the game is just constantly telling you to slow down. And I think that's when you get into when you look at some of the best levels that Sonic has ever made. It's because they transitioned very well. And the main level that comes to mind is this first level of Sonic Adventure 2, which is the City Escape, where you jump out the helicopter and you snowboard down the
Yeah,
streets of.
I know that one.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
great because it starts off fast, very high octane action like Sonic is, and then it has a very clear transition into, okay, now we're going to slow down and have some more precision. But then they kind of gradually speed you up until the point where then they get you back to full speed ahead at the very end of the level. And I think that's what Sonic. I mean, I think Sonic Adventure 2 has the best pacing almost on any level than any other Sonic game.
Well, there's, and this is maybe just the platformers of the past, and we can even include Mario, 2D Mario in this, is this idea that the first time you play it, you have to slow down. The second time you play it, you realize you can get over the platforming
Yes.
without slowing down. And there it just that kind of advanced play, like to should be available in all levels. Like you should be able to get through the level without slowing down. It might be a little bit more challenging, and you might have to like maybe slow down a little bit, but it's I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
It's kind
that's
of
a
like skating games or anything like that. Like if you hit the trick, it's kind of
yeah,
like
no, that's a design philosophy that Sonic has always had, which is the on the 2D aspect of things. Usually, the higher up you go, is the faster like that's the faster route. But if you fall, like you go like as you go lower in the level vertically, it tends to slow down and become more challenging and more enemy based, which makes sense.
yeah.
So yeah, and there's also more things to explore on all aspects. Is there's a lot of exploring to 2D Sonic for like collecting all of your rings and getting the Chaos Emeralds and all that stuff. And 3D Sonic, I think, translated that okay in Sonic Adventure 1. They had a different idea where it's like, oh, we have the Knuckles levels and the Tails levels and the Sonic levels, and then that was kind of their way of branching different types of play. But I think Sonic Adventure 2, again, they kind of just refined what they did. And a lot of the levels that you play where it's really fast levels, you can take it in different aspects. And yeah, after you replay a couple times, you can go faster and faster,
Yeah.
which is the goal.
Yeah, I mean it's just something that I think the 2D nails a lot better than some, and then the 3D is just one. There's multiple paths to get to the end, which I of course haven't played as enough games to be able to say this, but it just feels like it's lacking in the 3D games that I have played. That element as well, and like also just this idea of never stopping, being able to get through the level at fast speeds, which I think the 2D does really well. You're able to skip across the platforming parts if you want. Yes, there's always going to be the bumper, I guess. Is that what you call them? You call them bumpers,
What?
like the little spring thing that is in like every game.
Oh yeah, it's spring.
Is it a spring? Yeah. Well, there's
Yeah.
always going to be the spring that's going to land you on a platform and then you're slowed down. But I mean, that's okay usually, you know. But I just feel like when I play the 3D games, I feel, well, some of the later ones at least, I feel like I'm getting slowed down all the time for no good reason.
Yeah, and I mean this goes back to the identity crisis. Is there's like sub identity crises to Sonic because when you go to 3D, there's a very when you look at the adventure games, the yeah, they're about going. It's a lot less about going fast and just playing as Sonic, which is faster because you have like you play as all these different characters like the robot from Sonic Adventure 1 that I can't remember the name for the life of me. And then you have the Amy levels and the cat fishing levels and Tails level. Like there's
That's okay.
way yeah, and it's like if that's what 3D Sonic is, then that's what you need to keep going. But then the other 3D Sonic games like well Forces still kind of had that, but or not Forces, Heroes, but like Forces and Generations is just playing as Sonic, and then yeah, you get into this realm of you're trying to go as fast as possible, and then you get stopped and stuff. So I don't even know what I would say the best 3D Sonic game is, or what I would want, because I like both of those things, but I don't think they really. I don't know if they can
Well,
coexist.
one's like a world growing element. Like I mean, yes, if you give me a different character and you're telling them me that they have different mechanics, I'm okay with it if their mechanics are fun and
Yeah.
you build the level around their mechanics. But the thing is they build the level around Sonic's mechanic and then they ruin his mechanic. It's like stop it, Like if this is
Yes.
gonna
Yeah.
be this is gonna be what he is. He is somebody that runs really fast and like, I was thinking about this and I would really like to see something more of akin. I don't know. Did you ever play Rush?
Uh,
It was like a racing game, but it had like it was like one of the first ones to really hit where you had multiple paths through the
what
level. Actually,
console? Like what
I think it was
generation is this on?
N64. To be
Oh,
honest,
I don't think so.
great game. I mean, there's even to the point where you can like it's not like you can just drive backwards. You can even drive off this cliff, and then you find this little like cave that you drive into, and then it's like this entire skate park that you're driving on. So it was really interesting, but like the way that they did it was there's just all like when you're doing your race, there's just so many different paths you can take, and it's not like how Sonic kind of does it where you spring up, but like it was like kind of how very similar to Paradise. So in that game, like if you're driving and you see like a different path, you can kind of like it kind of rides you up on
Yeah.
the like high raises, and you go into a building, and then that's what I want to see Sonic do. And actually, I would love to see that in a 3D world, kind of like Paradise. So I don't know. I mean, like that would be amazing, and I just don't think that I've seen that happen. I mean, there's so many games, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're missing out. Like I think they're missing out on being able to keep the speed, but having multiple paths, type of thing. And there kind of is, but it's not in that extent. Like
Yeah, I mean, see, going the Sonic Adventure 1 is the only one that has an open world, and parts of it are great, and other parts you're just sitting there aimlessly walking around until something happens to you, or you figure out what it really means because sometimes it's really convoluted what they want you to do.
but it's
Um,
towns, right?
there's a town, there's a jungle, there's a mountain range. But the nice thing is, yeah, there are parts that you can explore and like do little like side routes to get to like secret missions or different parts of missions, or even just go start a level that was like a hidden level type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that was ditched. Like they haven't made a game like that since that I can remember.
But it's still like you're still loading into levels. Like
Yeah,
that's always been their gimmick, and that's still kind of their gimmick in the newer games that are if you have a 3D world, you're like loading into the levels, kind of thing.
see, okay, hold on. Let's fucking tangent of Sonic wishlist. It'd be really cool if we got a next gen Sonic game using these new SSDs, and it's literally. Oh, hold on. Before I say this, Sonic 06 had an open world and it was really bad. But
Okay.
anyways,
I never played that.
yeah, you don't.
Okay.
um, it'd be really cool if we could get some like a really great open world Sonic game like Adventure in which you don't have to go to a loading screen to start like an entire linear section, and it's
Oh
just like
yeah.
you walk through the boat or you go through the cave and now you're on the cave level and it just unloads the world as you're trying to load through that initial like cave run.
Yeah.
Sonic could really benefit from fast SSDs, which I mean, again, you got to go fast.
Yeah.
But and I'm wondering maybe that's what I don't know if that's what Sega is doing because it's been 3 years. I can't imagine they're going to spend too much more time on a Sonic game. I'm imagining next year we're going to get a new one, and I don't know which one. I would love that they would just release a new Mania and a new Sonic game or Sonic 3D game.
Well, I mean, if they push past their development time, it's pretty likely it's due to the fact that they're porting to the new console. Because we've talked about this. I mean, there has to be a decision moment where you're like, we're in an in between console development cycle. Are we going to do this, guys?
Yeah, and I think that's them another aspect that I'm kind of curious is who are they making the Sonic game for? Because Sonic Boom was very clearly a game built for very casual kids. And I know
Yeah.
Sonic game is always they're not adult games, but they're kids games. Um, but I'm just wondering if they're making another game that's going to be catering to a very young audience again, or if they're going to go back to their more actual core audience of Sega fans and Sonic fans. And if that's the case, then I think that they should just port it to the new console and keep it there and use that SSD. Because even if Mania used it, I can't wait to see what 2D platformers look like with these SSDs and not having like. I know with like Ori, they have. I'm pretty sure it's just one big world, so I don't think there's many loading screens there. But with Sonic Mania, imagine just never having to load and you just constantly keep running to the next level. Like there's just
Yeah.
no transitions. And that, especially for just a 2D game like that, that's going to be super. It should hopefully be super easy to implement on that fast of an SSD.
Yeah. 2D or 3D, I mean, the
Yeah.
capabilities.
I mean, yeah, Ratchet and Clank's already showing that you can load big ass
Yeah.
sections of geometry. So Sonic can only benefit from that.
Yeah, I think we're on the hit the nail when we said they need to just separate all these games. Like the Infinite Runner games need to be on mobile. It's like just separate all the games and just do them well. Just kind of and I think the 3D is where, and even actually the 2D. I mean, like you can still have a lot of characters introduced or have your classic characters in those. That's fine. Like I actually think that's really good. I think it's one of Sonic's strengths is this world that they've created, and especially now that the movies are coming out and they're able to introduce those to people that don't play games or whatever,
Yeah.
or new kids. I mean, that's a really good way. It's like they kind of need their repertoire of characters that they've created through all these games. Um,
Yeah, I agree. I think Sonic's cast of characters is that's what makes me such a fan of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Heroes. And I think that as much as I want Sonic Adventure 3 with an open world and branching, well, not branching story, but what's the like multiple perspective story? Because in Sonic Adventure 1, every character has their own plot and they all interconnect. And then once you beat all of them, you unlock the final plot for Sonic, which is cool.
yeah,
And then Sonic Adventure 2 was you play both sides of the story. I would love for more of a Sonic Heroes approach rather than them try to do everything at once because it's been a very long time since Sonic Team has made a game like this where you just have four little stories of like a section of characters. And
yeah.
I wonder if they're going to have any sort of game tie into the movie or if they're just going to keep those as separate things.
I don't really want to see that.
I don't.
I mean, that'd be
I'm
really
begging
bad.
them not to do that. I love the Sonic movie, and I'm super
Yeah.
pumped for the second one. But please leave it alone.
I mean, like if they're gonna follow this, I mean, it depends what they do, but really, the only way they could do that is following the plot of the movie, and that would
Yeah.
be just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't think that they will. I think if they were going to, they would have had a game come out early this year
Well,
with the movie, like Ratchet and Clank did.
do you think like because they had Shadows? Is Shadows the only game where one of the secondary characters? I mean, well, who is Shadow anyways? I don't even know.
Who-
Uh,
I'm trying to think of other spin-off characters that had their own game. I think Shadow is the only one.
Like Tails never had his own game. He had to.
Maybe
Tails.
he had like a freaking Tetris spin-off, but Sonic side character games. I don't think so. I want to say I mean a lot of the games have had you play as different characters. So I think Shadow the Hedgehog is the only one.
Who is Shadow the Hedgehog?
So Shadow the Hedgehog is a clone that Dr. Eggman made after I think he used the Chaos Emeralds to make as like a way to. God, why did he even do that? I'm trying to.
So he's the
back
new
into my
Knuckles. He's like
No, Knuckles is a whole different species, man.
Yeah, but he was evil first, wasn't he? Like
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if evil. Really, the story with Knuckles is he just has a role. His role is to protect the Master Emerald, and anybody who goes in his way is gonna face consequences, and that's just all that happened. And then eventually they got, I guess, buddied up because they all were like, "Oh, we all hate Eggman." But yeah,
Yeah.
Shadow was like made by Eggman, and then he was used to like pretty much frame Sonic in Sonic Adventure 2. Oh God, I don't know. I'm gonna get fucking destroyed by the Sonic community for not knowing this.
Do you think the movies are gonna like go with all this, or do you think they're just gonna rewrite the
Man,
history?
I'm really curious because I mean they've already. I mean, the first movie introduced the whole like his quills are magical or
Yeah,
have something, which is not a thing.
yeah. No, I knew
Um,
that wasn't a thing, but
but I mean, as a Sonic fan, I wanted to have a movie with like other characters in there and Chaos Emeralds and stuff. But I understand why they didn't because this is not a movie for Sonic fans. This is just a kids movie. So like they can't just shove all of this lore onto a kid right away who doesn't know anything about Sonic. Which is why I like that they took the approach of the entire first movie is just about establishing Sonic and Dr. Eggman. And now that they've done that, I think that the second movie, which we already know is going to have Tails in it, is going to start branching into that Sonic-y lore where we get Chaos Emeralds and maybe Knuckles, because we have Echidna in the Sonic movie, the first
oh,
one.
okay.
But
Yeah.
I just don't know how far they're going to go. In my opinion, I think Sonic 2, the movie, should just be like explaining why Tails is looking for him, of course, and then maybe shove Knuckles in there, and then make Eggman a crazy dude again, which he already seems to be crazy. And I think
Yeah.
that's enough for a second movie, and maybe let's get a third. I don't know. I enjoyed it so much though. I'm down for more Sonic movies, and I think that it was just a fun thing to enjoy.
It was, and you kind of had to live it loosely. I mean, it was like a little weak explanation on his origin, like
Yeah.
his planet or whatever that he runs.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's
The whole
fucking
origin
Al.
thing that they started, yeah, it was a little weak, but then it kept going, and it was like, okay, I guess that's fine. And it was nice to see that he had his own like planet that he was like the only person on.
Yeah, I was a little worried about the whole ring teleporting thing
Yeah,
because it was in the trailer and I was like, what the hell? Like I don't even know what to expect. I think they handled it pretty well, and I think they had a lot of homage to long-term fans with like they had so many Easter eggs in that movie. It was definitely made with a lot of love, so I hope
yeah.
the second one just keeps up with it.
Well, they definitely couldn't have him holding 500 rings,
Yeah, I mean one of my
and then
favorite
throwing them all up when he gets hit.
I mean, one of my favorite moments in that movie was like he falls off of he falls off some building in San Francisco or
Yeah,
wherever
yeah.
they were, and he drops all of his rings in his bag, and it's like when he falls down, and I'm just like, it's such a great little detail of like, oh look, he fell, damaged, and lost all his rings, and then he runs and quickly gets them up and runs off. I'm like, dude, that's fucking amazing. Ah,
I
fucking
forgot
great.
about that. Yeah, that's when he like threw the ring down,
I
right, to
think I
save
saw
him.
that movie like 3 to 4 times in theaters, so
I've only seen it once, but it was good. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it was decent. I wasn't expecting anything. I think that's like where movies end up winning. Winning your heart over is when you're like, I didn't think this was going to even be any good.
Yeah, I went
You
in
know?
with like the lowest expectations of all time because as someone who plays the Sonic games, those cutscenes are awful every time. They're so bad that it's almost good and part of the Sonic charm. Like when I play a Sonic game and the cutscenes are like crappy, I'm just like, oh, cool, a Sonic game.
Yeah.
If they were like really high production value, I'd be sitting there like, this is kind of weird. So the movie I just expected to be a giant cringe fest, but it was actually fun.
Well, that actually with the cutscenes and everything, and the way that the franchise is going, this actually brings up an interesting topic. Is they're kind of going hardcore, like Sonic Forces and all this. Like that's kind of where they were headed. They're like they definitely had a moment where they were trying to make the whole thing like edgy, and like very CG and very like I don't know, like they were trying to push it so hard into the next generation of games.
So the
And it's
trailers for Sonic Forces made it edgy, but that game was not trying to be edgy. And or I mean, I guess the villain was a little, but they definitely had a weird dialogue and normal stuff. I don't know why they went with the edgier marketing for the game, to be completely honest, because the game really didn't fit that bill playing through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even what is it? The Sonic. What is it? Sonic Unleashed was very edgy,
Oh yeah.
too. I mean, like in that beginning one when he's like he goes into the ship, it's very, it kind of feels like they're trying to be. I don't know, like the famous or the good games of the era or the time when that came out. When did that come out?
Sonic Unleashed was, I want to say, 2010.
Yeah, so that was very like, first person shooters were
Yeah. I,
big and like this.
Yeah, I think it was a product, and I mean, Sonic, in terms of his personality, has been weird because I mean, in the '90s, he was an edgy kind of dude. He was just the embodiment of '90s pop culture,
Yeah.
and then I think that they tried to keep him that way, and they realized that no one gave a shit anymore because it's not the '90s anymore. And I think in the 2000s we had a weird amount of like, what is Sonic supposed to be? And I think more recently they've realized that Sonic needs to just match pop culture at all times. And that's why he was good in the 90s, and that's why he wasn't so good in the 2000s. And now the whole franchise is turning into a lot more memey.
Well, I remember in the cartoons he was kind of a prick.
Yeah, he's always been kind of a prick.
He like play tricks on you and like on people and stuff, and like I don't know. I was like, damn, dude, you're kind of a prick.
Runs past you, flips you off, eats his fucking chili dog.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's kept that same. That was like, I don't know when the cartoon came out, but that was like 90s definitely.
Yeah. No.
That's kind of when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles transformed into they were kind of like edgy.
Yeah, I love that card. I love the early 2000s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they definitely changed their attitude. And there was more of a teenager attitude to all these cartoons, and like I feel like I kind of had that too, a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely did, and I think now I don't think he does, because I just don't think it fits really. I think, pop culture, like a huge part of our pop culture is memes, and we've seen that with Sonic and the Sonic Boom cartoon and how Sonic is in games. The Sonic Twitter has been like one of the best Twitters on there in terms of just generating a ton of memes. So like they're very self-aware now with Sonic.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah, sure. What are the Sonic memes?
Have you heard of Sanic?
Sanic?
Yeah,
no.
See, Cody, I'm not going to dive into that now, man, but there's a whole...
I actually have seen Sanic, yeah.
Okay.
I know who Sanic is.
I was going to say, he's in the movie. They even recognize Sanic in the movie, that crazy old guy.
Okay.
In the woods.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going on. Yeah, I remember that as well in the movie, but I didn't realize that was the...
long-term meme there. And this is something we've talked about a lot, and I wanted to bring up, which is Sonic Utopia. I really hope that game is a thing. That was that one game that like made an Unreal Engine.
But you said
Sonic.
They stopped development on it. They were like they switched engines because they first.
That's right. It was Unity, and then they switched over to Unreal.
And then they switched over to Unreal, and then
we haven't seen it since.
It kind of died out, which is weird. Like the team might not have. But there's, if they're gonna do generations, not generations, sorry.
Where are you going with this?
Where am I going with this?
Adventure?
Yeah. No, sorry.
Forces?
Keep going. No, Mania. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm blanking out on stupid stuff. Okay, so yeah, if they're gonna go Mania and give another like an outside developer, I just don't see why they wouldn't latch onto this, because it gained a lot of popularity amongst people. I remember seeing it and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I gotta play this, and I did. I instantly downloaded it. I remember it was very similar when they redid Doom, the original Doom. And I was like, I got to play this. And it was like a different developer, and they like redid all the weapons and everything and made it really cool. I don't even remember what that was called, but it's worth.
Brutal Doom.
Brutal Doom, yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
That shit was awesome.
It was amazing. And I remember the second I saw it, I was like, I got to download this and play it.
Yep.
I also tried to play the ray tracing Doom without an RTX card, and that didn't so well.
Yeah, I bet.
It didn't run at all. Oh, it did run, but it was just like, I think it was like 2 or 3 frames per second.
Just constantly confused at why it's getting ran.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so they're idiots if they don't take advantage of this, and just this show that their past has already, given developers an opportunity. They should take advantage of this that's out there.
Yeah, and I think this is just another going... I don't know when we talked about this a long time ago, of just like the current generation of people making games right now. And we're kind of at this point where a lot of the people who grew up, a lot of people who grew up in the 90s and like the early 2000s during the big era of, those were some great times for games. They're all up and adults and now possibly making games, and they remember what was great about those games, and they know what made them great for them, and they're making things like Sonic Utopia and Brutal Doom. And then a lot of the people who are just like Sonic Team, who are still making Sonic games after all this time, I don't know if it's just a lack of passion or just a loss of sight of, we don't know what was good about Sonic Adventure, or maybe just no one really is there from the original team. But I I feel like it's time to just give some of these franchises to people. And I think one of my favorite instances of this was the new Battletoads, which was that's going to get released on the 20th, which was announced this week.
Yeah.
Rather than going and asking Rare, hey, can you make another Battletoads even though you haven't made one since the 90s? They were like, well, let's go give it to a developer who really wants to do something cool with Battletoads, who are fans of the originals and know what made it great. And they did that, and they gave it to Dalala Studios, I want to say is the name. And I think they're doing from what I've seen in the trailers, it looks fantastic, and it does look like someone took what Battletoads was and just kind of gave it a modern look, or not modern look, but like a just modernized the idea of it and made it like a nice beat 'em up arcade game.
Yeah.
And I want more developers to do that. You have these IPs, just give them to other people who really are passionate about these franchises, and they could do great with it.
I think that like in the situations before, what usually happens, like especially just like Sonic Utopia or Brutal Doom, is these are passion projects for people that would love to have jobs.
Oh yeah.
And so they obviously this gets out and like people see, wow, these guys did a really good job. Let's hire them. Who are these people?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what happened to Mania.
Yeah, and it's just they get jobs and then they don't have time, and then it just goes away, Or I mean, if they get the job to do the game that they were doing, but that's probably more rare. I mean, I think what you're. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the best example of that is Valve. I mean, they're notorious for finding a cool little game that's being made by the community and being like, hey, would you like to get paid real money for this? And then they just, I mean, Team Fortress is that way, Portal was that way.
But I don't think I mean that's a little different because it's saying, hey, we want your IP and we want you to keep working on the IP that you're doing. I guarantee most of these, it's just that they're really good game designers, and so people want them on their projects. And I think that's where you see a lot of these passion projects die, is because people get snapped up for other things, and then they don't have time because maybe the company that sees this and wants to give them a job doesn't necessarily want to make Sonic Utopia.
Yeah.
Or can have them continue that project, or but it's also because it's someone else's IP, so
yeah,
it becomes
that's something I've liked about Sega, which as long as you're not making money off of it, they really don't care. I mean, Nintendo's the complete opposite. If you're using their IP in any way, they just don't want you to use it.
Yeah.
So, and that was what was great was when Sonic Utopia released, there was some other Sonic fan game that was getting made at the time. And there's a lot of people who just remake Sonic Adventure levels inside of Unreal Engine 4, and they just look and play phenomenally. And it just makes you beg them to just do something you just wish that they would do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad that they don't put more time into it, because I think there's a lot of people that have, at least the Sonic fans that I've seen on YouTube and like stuff like that, they have their favorite games. And so all the re-releases would do well, if they revamped the graphics and whatever, brought it up to snuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to talk about Sonic. But this morning, you said that you've been out of it on the news list.
I have.
Interesting morning. So we got, and honestly, Sony did not have a good morning because of this. So they announced this morning that the new Avengers game will have exclusive content on the PlayStation, and you can only play Spider-Man on the PlayStation because Sony owns the film rights, and that I guess means that they own the game rights to anything Spider-Man now. And that was upsetting. And for me, because a lot of people were like, again, we understand an exclusive game, but when you start exclusive content, it just becomes a little bullshitty and anti-consumer. Yeah. And honestly, for me, to all the developers on that game, you're doing your best. Keep making it. I know you're passionate about it, but for me personally, nothing I've seen has made me want the game in any way. So
you're talking Avengers, right?
Yes. So, no offense to Crystal Dynamics, I don't want the game, and this literally made me just realize I still don't want the game even more. Yeah. And it wasn't a great look for Sony after last week with Xbox's huge event, and they're being super open about, hey, play games wherever you want, and we have Game Pass. When you get your Xbox, you have hundreds of games, and they just work. And then Sony's like, and they have Halo Infinite as a really big launch title. And then Sony, who a lot of people think that the launch title is a little bit weak, now they have it just feels like Sony's desperately trying to get some exclusive stuff on the platform, and Xbox is kind of doing things right. And right after this, we got the announced that, which it's kind of funny, and I definitely want your take on this. They said that the DualShock 4 controllers will not work for PlayStation 5 games, which, okay, that's kind of normal. But the internet got an outrage of this because Xbox is doing it completely different. And they announced, well, they kind of re announced, even though we knew this already, that anything works on the Xbox One and all controllers will work. Any third party controllers will work. And they even said, hey, you could use your DualShock 4 on Project xCloud and on PC Xbox games.
You know, it's just super weird because you go to the last couple of consoles and it was reverse.
Exactly. And my thing is like I get like it's just weird that we're complaining that the new console doesn't use the old controller. Like why is this a problem? I don't understand why like anyone thought for a second the DualShock 4 was going to work on the PlayStation 5 for PlayStation 5 games because that doesn't ever happen.
Yeah.
That's never happened until now, and it's weird that Microsoft, and I think that their marketing team is doing fantastic that they were announcing these things so early on and like at the beginning of 2020, so that after 8 months we've been conditioned to be like, oh well, when I get my Xbox, nothing changes. It's just a new console that plays great games, and all of my controllers and headsets and all my stuff just works. And then Sony's like, well, we're doing what we've been doing for the past like all of gaming history, and now people are upset about it.
I don't know though, but they haven't. I mean, they've been very accessible to backwards compatibility in the past. I mean, especially with hardware run games, and then just their persona to me was always very accepting to the backwards compatible idea.
Well, that was on, but that died on the PlayStation 3. Like once
No,
they did that, the 4 never had backwards compatibility, and then the 5, it has PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility, but
no, I know, but they still started that because I mean, I don't know. That still sticks in my head a little bit. So I think that there's
yeah,
probably
they were the first ones.
there's
The
still
PlayStation 2.
residual disappointment, right? Like, oh well, we were hoping this time you would have given it to us, or yeah, because the PlayStation 4 was just a little bit different. It was a departure from what they were doing, but and I don't know.
No, no, you make a good point. I mean, when you go back to backwards compatibility, that wasn't a thing for any console until the PlayStation 2. I mean, I guess you could argue that the 32X had backwards compatibility with the Genesis, but that's not really right. But the PlayStation 2 was like, hey, play all your PS1 games. And before that, nothing else did that, mainly because they were cartridge based and every cartridge was different. But even like Nintendo, the GameCube came out, and of course you couldn't play N64 games. But then when the Wii came out, you could play GameCube games, and then
Yeah.
like it became the norm. And I guess yeah, Sony definitely made that the norm, and it is very funny that the guys who made this the norm are going against it.
But
In a
even
way.
like third party controllers worked, and I know that's not a thing anymore, but PlayStation allowed a lot of that stuff where I remember, and maybe is Xbox get like saying no, it's only Xbox controllers
Oh
for
yeah.
this for a while, and now they're going the other direction. It's like they're swapping almost over since the 4 and then beyond. It's like they're switching positions, and maybe it's because of a financial struggle. Like maybe it's like this idea that we need people to buy accessories where Xbox, they don't give a fuck. They don't care if you buy the console. They don't even care if you buy the console. They're like,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, we're gonna be fine. You do whatever you do. We'll give you everything you want. And I guarantee you, PlayStation's probably looking at a financial like, oh, we need those accessories rebought.
Yeah,
Like,
probably. And I mean, especially, and I think that there was a decision made a while ago for Sony that hey, let's invest a lot of money in next gen accessories, and we're seeing that because the PlayStation
yeah,
5 has new adaptive triggers and haptics and a mic, and like a lot of, I mean, you look at that and you're like, oh, cool, new gen. But I think that we're at a point in gaming where no one really looked at the controller and went, what else can this thing do? They were just kind of like, it's as good as, I don't need this to do much else. It's a good enough experience. I just want new games. And I think
yeah.
Xbox realized that and went, well, we could do the Sony thing, or we can make the same controller and then nothing else changes. And I mean, I think Microsoft played the long run of let's get the market share back, and Sony is trying to kind of, they're still doing the if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because the PlayStation 4 just skyrocketed in popularity. So they just
Yeah.
thought, hey, let's just keep doing what we're doing, and I think that is killing them.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, they still have they started a lot of the stuff, and like even with this cloud gaming thing, they really kind of started that on console. Yeah, I guess they're a little stilted, but I still feel like they're in the game. I mean, like they're
I
still.
mean, yeah, killing. I mean, they're not gonna go away. I'm just saying, like, I mean, even with the cloud thing, they started it, and then once they started it, they
Yeah,
left it there, and they
they did
didn't
leave
do
it.
anything. So, like, there's just so many things with the PlayStation ecosystem that are just there and not being innovated in any way. Where Xbox, and this is because they were in the lead. So this always happens when someone's in the lead. You don't want to rock the boat, and
Yeah.
when you're the underdog, you just want to do anything possible to get noise. But I think we all expected Xbox to do that because they were so far behind this generation, but I think we all expected them to maybe stop being so crazy and doing things that were so consumer friendly when they started gaining momentum, and instead they just said, "Well, we already have the momentum. Let's just keep steamrolling past." It's going to be a crazy couple years.
But it's also just like, the identity shift that Xbox has taken where they're just, with the open source stuff and allowing Linux subsystems and and we've
Yeah, their
talked
new
about this, but
CEO has really changed that company.
we've talked about this, and I guarantee that trickles down. It's like it's an idea of, I mean, they're definitely not going to allow for third party controllers, but I
Well,
don't, are
yeah.
there
What do you
third
mean?
party
Yeah,
controllers?
there's tons.
Oh, I didn't even know. I haven't bought a third party controller in so long that I don't, I thought they all died.
No, there's tons of third-party controllers.
Who's the big third party controller maker?
Scuff.
Scuff?
Scuff. They make elite controllers, but they're their own elite controllers. Like, yeah, I don't know. They're all right. But for me, I love the elite controller that the Xbox has, so it's kind of like I think that's the best it gets.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, there's tons of third party, and there's even those crappy ones that are made
I
in
guess there's
China,
a,
like
yeah.
the Mad Cats in the day. There's always those crappy ones.
Yeah, so I guess that's always going to be a case. Maybe I'm wrong on that. It looks like they make for both all consoles.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe that's why Xbox doesn't care. It's like for all the advancements that you need, you can go to these companies, and they're not. Again, they don't really need the money. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird. They don't need the money. They have so much money, and they're just
No.
it's just a weird time in gaming to see a company switch so much. But I'll give it to them. Everyone loves it. It is
Yeah.
such a pro-consumer route, regardless of like the charm you're missing from the past generations, which Sony is trying to hold on to. Of like, it's a new console, and you just get all the new things. It's gonna be great. Buy new stuff. And I as someone who likes buying new stuff, that's awesome. But it's just weird to see people complaining that the old controller does not work on the new games. Like, when has that ever been a thing?
I see. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like it
Me
comes
either.
bundled in the console when you buy it. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks because you have all these controllers, and like a lot of people have like the controllers, they have the controller chargers, and in this day and age, the amount of extra accessories you can accumulate. Well, I guess it's always been the case, the Super Scope and all those stupid things, but I don't know. Like you have to have four controllers, right, for each system because you don't know. There's always going to be a game that needs four controllers, and then you need to be able to charge those. So a lot of people have like charging docks for all of them, and like it just. I think you're jaded because you have these nice cubic things and you like the display of it all, but most people have them all in like a box.
No, no. I think you misunderstood. I don't understand the outrage towards it not
No,
working on the new.
no, I understand because if it doesn't work on the new, then you have to buy new controllers.
Oh,
So you're
yeah.
adding more controllers to your ecosystem. That's what I'm saying. So like
Yeah.
that's part of the outrage is like I already have a ton of fucking controllers.
Yeah, and
I don't want to buy new controllers.
what I think what's weird is if 3 years ago someone said, "Hey, when the next PlayStation launches, you're gonna have to get a new controller," everyone would have been like, "Well, no fucking shit. Every console has a new controller." But at that point, there's never been this idea of no console leap like Xbox did. And then within these last 3 years, Xbox has manifested this idea of what if we don't have to do that? And I think we can see how much of an impact they're having on gaming as a whole. The fact that people are pissed that a new controller doesn't, or a new console doesn't use the old controller, which no console in the past has ever done that. Like
That's not
that's
true
not
at all.
normal.
That's not true actually. You could use old control. Like even on PlayStation 2, you could use a PlayStation 1 controller. It
Yeah, I
it
guess.
lost functionality. You couldn't. I mean, it didn't have any of the dual sticks. Like it would just, but you could still use it.
Yeah,
Uh, so I don't know, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Like in their past, they've been very backwards compatible friendly. where now they're not going to be, and so people that have been around for a long time might have out. I'm just playing devil's advocate to what you're saying because I actually kind of do agree with you. Every console is bundled with one controller, and like you just have to buy another one. The other problem I think with controllers though is often they go out of sale, like they're hard to get
Yeah.
when the console launches. So like you get your one controller, but then if you want to bring a friend over or something, but that doesn't even equate anymore because all games are online and there's not that much couch co-op except for like small games, indie games. But
Yeah.
so I don't know, but yeah, to get four controllers for your next party game might be a little hard for the next few weeks
Yeah,
after it
especially because
launches.
controllers are like, and I mean, I think that's the big part of the outrage is that since this next gen controller is so fancy and innovative, it's gonna cost like $70 like the Switch controller did. So yeah,
Yeah,
to get four, you get the one bundle. To get three, that's a 210 before tax investment just to play with all four of your friends.
yeah, yeah.
Holy shit!
Well, I mean, have they put the price out on the controller individually? Because this one will probably be
No.
more, right? Because it's got
No,
all.
I'm assuming that it's going to cost the same as the Switch Pro controller, which had new haptics, which the new PlayStation does, and like similar feature sets, and then HD Rumble and all that stuff. So I'm just going to assume it's going to be a $70 controller, which I believe the DualShock 4 was about 72. So, ugh.
Yeah, but if it played on pure supply and demand, they'd be thousands of dollars
Oh
on
yeah.
launch. And I'm sure that like if you buy them off eBay, you're paying
Oh
thousands of
yeah,
dollars
who
off
can't
launch.
wait for those eBay prices of scalpers out there? You want the
But
PlayStation 5? Go fuck yourself, $1,000.
that's true supply and demand is eBay.
Yeah,
You know?
that is
Uh,
capitalism.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean I don't know. I'm often amiss when the community gets outraged about stuff. I'm always on the thing like I love games. I
Yeah,
love the community. I'm just happy they exist.
yeah, me too. I
Uh,
just find it
yeah,
funny that we're mad about it.
yeah, it's a little bit small potatoes, but sure.
Small
That's
potatoes.
that's a whole different show of why communities are angry all the time.
I don't think there's an answer to that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Because they're definitely sour, but that's okay. Uh,
Yeah.
all right, well, we hit 7, so it's kind of nice doing it this way, to do meta on the show. I like it because we could, it's now 7, so we don't have to have a clock.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good natural ending here, so.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we will continue to try to schedule these things on time and show up each week at 6 on Mondays. So if you want to join, please do.